Hello, this is Joy News Prime with me, Ernest Mino. Our headlines tonight: from food crops to cash crop, we'll tell you about the gradual shift in crop production in some parts of Ghana's food basket regions.
Croplands are used for cultivation of cash crops. At the end of the day, then the national production level will come down in terms of food crops. What it would mean is that we will have to import from neighboring countries.
Also coming up, Muslim faithful hit the streets to protest what they describe as unfair charges by the National Hajj Board.
Sheikh Asikwe is not fit to lead Muslim Ummah just because he has failed to live up to expectation.
They are demanding the dismissal of the board chairman. We'll hear from them. And coming up, former Minister for Energy Boakye Jarko says he is unperturbed about his dismissal as minister and says he will not abandon his presidential ambition to take up any ministerial position in the Akufo-Addo government.
What is the impugning of integrity? President said, I gave you the job, I want you to give my job back to me. End of story.
Was it as simple as that?
Yes. Has anybody accused me of stealing money? He who alleges must prove.
There's growing criticism among civil society organizations of government's payment of close to 10% of the entire contract sum for the National Cathedral to Ajayi and Associates, as they say it breaches the fee structure for architects both in Ghana and the UK.
The amount of money that he's charged from the documents that we have now, about $22 million, which was nearly 10% of project cost, is monstrous.
And those are headlines for Joy News Prime. We'll bring you Prime Business, and Beverly has the details.
So COPEC Ghana is calling on government to intervene to save oil marketing companies who are on the verge of collapse.
We would recommend that some of them do not wait to go down under completely. You could have a situation where you would have acquisitions come in, you could have mergers come in.
Details at 8 p.m., but at 8:15 we'll bring you Prime Sports. Oreku.
Former Ghana President John Ejekun Kufuor, who was once the chairman of Asante Kotoko, has urged the club to adopt scientific and data-based approach to playing football as they fight to claw back lost glory on the African continent.
It's not just enthusiasm. The management must be scientific and also must master the technology of the game.
We are live on DSTV, channel 41, GoTV 144. We are on free-to-air, and so you can catch us. This is the home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Stay tuned for details. Hello again, thanks for choosing us. Now, some civil society organizations are turning the heat on government for paying the architect of the National Cathedral project, Sir David Ajayi, close to 10% of the total sum. Ajayi and Associates have been paid 32 million cedis as consultancy fees, which represent about 10% of the total cost of the National Cathedral project. Speaking on Newsfile over the weekend, Vice President of Imani Africa, Bright Simmons, explained that the scale of fees for architects in Ghana and even in the UK is nowhere near the amounts that have been paid so far to Sir David Ajayi by government.
Quite surprised to learn that huge amounts of money is being given to Sir David Ajayi upfront, on top of the amount of money that he's charged. From the documents that we have now, about $22 million, which was nearly 10% of project cost. It's monstrous. Look at the median survey data. Remember that this is the data you're looking on the screen now is survey data. What that means is that the Royal Institute for Architecture in the United Kingdom, RIBA, goes around and asks architects and collects data on what fees they are charging. Sir David Ajayi's studio is primarily UK-based, so I'm using RIBA data. That is the regulatory authority there. That is the professional association there. And they go around and find out what architects typically charge. What you realize is that as the scale of the project increases, the percentage reduces. Because it's natural. If I'm going to do a $10 billion project, I don't have to pay $1 billion to architect. Okay. That makes no sense. So that scaling dynamic means, therefore, that the average percentage for project costs that you typically find in the United Kingdom about 3.5%. We have a situation where we're paying, and that's for design and build. We are paying not just design, to be very clear. We are paying almost 10% to Sir David J for this exercise that he's undertaken on behalf of the country. And nobody doubts his competence, nobody doubts his talent. But this is inflationary pricing, which we must talk about. If we were to bring it down to Ghana, we say, okay, well, he's based in the UK, but now he has a studio in Accra, he has a studio in London. What is the UK, the Ghanaian guidance when it comes to architectural fees? And here also, I find it shocking that we will be breaching the Ghana Institute of Architects fee structure, which is around 4%. So we're going to about 10%. What is it about, say, the J, that means that we must pay so much when the project scale is such that typically we need to be compliant with guidance because it's a big project, so it's making a lot of money. So that's a challenge. Architectural design fees should be about 1%.
Now, despite these criticisms, the Executive Secretary of the National Cathedral Secretariat, Dr. Paul Opoku-Mensah, says no law was breached in the selection of David of Ajayi and Associates for the project. He explains the caliber of the project makes it exceptional.
I think for me, what is lost in this is really this idea of then, you see, using that as the building block to then almost trivialize the role of this architect. I mean, I remember some of the discussions I've had on the National Cathedral project, like this museum. I mean, this is the leading museum. I remember when I went there. I mean, it's almost like, who is this guy? I mean, these are, I mean, billion-dollar projects, really. When I went there, when I mentioned the name of the architect, I mean, immediately they said, look, okay, Ghana is a serious country. I mean, because the same architect had built the National Museum of African American, he had designed it. The contractors who built that museum are the same contractors who built the Museum of the Bible. The National Cathedral is a national monument. It's a state monument. In fact, and I think that's part of, I was saying that I think one of the things the president did, and he's not gotten credit for, is to say that, look, for a national monument, I really want us to build it in partnership with those who might have, I mean, disproportionate use of this monument. So actually, it is a state monument. And he says, look, the church has always been an active participant in our transformation and development. Will the churches who will almost make more use of this help in developing this? Right. And I think the conversation then should be, for instance, what should be the state's role when it says seed money? What is the total cost, and what should be the state's contribution to that total cost?
My colleague Kweku Asante joins me via Zoom with some more details on this developing story. Kweku, what is first of all the approved fee structure according to the Ghana Institute of Architects?
So Ernest, if you look at the Ghana Institute of Architects website, they have what they call the pre-contract services and the post-contract services. If you look at the pre-contract services, the highest you have there is about 7.0%. That is if the contract sum is in the region of about 50 million Ghana cedis. But the post-contract services is capped at 4%. If you add the total, it's around 10% and also 11%. But we know that the National Cathedral has been handed to Sir David Ajayi for 12.5%, according to that letter from the Office of the President seeking the approval of the Public Procurement Authority for single source procurement to be used to select Sir David Ajayi, which is prompting this significant backlash from civil society organizations who are not happy about it. And we've been speaking also to the Ghana Architects Association, who have also been raising some significant concerns about why upfront payment was used in this process. We know that the presidency have already paid about 32 million Ghana cedis to Sir David Ajayi and Associates for the work to be done. Their explanation is that the payment ought to have been made in phases, as and when some part of the work is done, then you can execute payment. But it's a bit surprising that all this payment has been made to Sir David Ajayi and Associates upfront. So if you look at the GIA's schedule of fees, it seems as though the contract that was given to Sir David Ajayi breached this specific fee scale that is published by the Architect Association.
And Kweku, just before you go, the MP for Norton, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, has fresh concerns. He alleges again that the architects for the project, that said David Ajayi, charge a separate fee to design the Bible Museum, which forms part of the entire project, the National Cathedral. What evidence does he provide to support this claim?
So as he uses some letters that were written from the office of the president, as well as some letters, the press release of last week that the secretariat themselves put out. First, if you look at the letter from the office of the president to the Public Procurement Authority, advancing the argument for single source procurement to be used for Sir David Ajayi, it says that he will be constructing a 15,000 hall, national events, a grand central hall, a music school, and a house to house the first ever Bible museum and documentation center. And so this payment of the 32 million cedis that were paid to Sir David Ajayi was supposed to cover this, including the Bible museum. That is according to this letter from the office of the president in 2018. If you look at the letter, the press statement that was published by the National Secretariat last week of the cathedral, their concerns
well, we seem to have lost Kweku Asante there, essentially giving us some details of the evidence that was provided by the Norton MP Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa to support his fresh allegation that Sir David Ajayi was paid a separate amount to design the Bible Museum, which is a major feature as part of the entire National Cathedral project. And you have more on this when you read on myjoyonline.com. Let's do some other stories now. There's gradual shift from the growing of food crops to cash crops in some of Ghana's food basket regions. Analysts have warned this could further escalate the prices and the country may be forced to import food soon if the trend continues. My colleague Justice Bedu has been to parts of the western region where farmers are ditching crops like oil palm for tree cash crops like rubber. Here's this report.
Gifty Archer was born into a family of farmers. She says her father was able to put herself and 5 other siblings through school with money from their family oil plantations. 5 years ago, she cut down her oil palm farm to grow rubber.
The farmers here, just like my father, were mainly into food crops. We grew oil palm, plantains, cassava, and the likes.
Rubber is being hailed as the white gold in many parts of Western Ghana. It takes at least 7 years from the point of planting to the time where farmers can make any money at all. But those who are going into it in this area tell me that just a year of proceeds from their work as rubber farmers is enough to cater for the 7 years investment that they make.
There were times we would even harvest oil palm fruit, and there would be a glut. We won't even get buyers. So since I grew up, I have made a decision to stop farming food crops. There's more money in rubber. In terms of price, palm is also good, but not like rubber.
This area of the western region has vast, fertile lands and have for years been a hub for the growth of oil palm and many other food crops. But now, things are changing.
We didn't look exactly at the quantum of land that has been put under this.
Professor Robert Edu, an agric economist at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, has spent years studying this trend, which he says is happening not only in the western region.
When all the food crop lands are used for cultivation of cash crops, at the end of the day, then down in terms of food crops, what it would mean is that we will have to import from neighboring countries and from other parts of the world so that we can have the food on the market for people to use the money that they have to go and acquire the food. And that has serious implications for the stability of the local currency.
I have come to El Ziejo, a small community close to where Esther's farm is located. This community was built around the palm oil business, and for years, small factories like this relied heavily on palm fruit from nearby farms and employed hundreds of men and women. Now, as more and more of these farms are cut down, the people who work here tell me that in the last 10 years alone, more than half of all the palm oil processing factories here have folded up.
You escape male budu ofana vodu awuro beti e ma se season e kwa many ale me yes me akọ de ka bioka the whole week yele kula ka yale I work 10 pokezi week because ale ya shada e ho okay western ke budu vodu awuro ba.
This shift from the growing of food crops to cash crops like rubber may look slow in happening, but its impact on the lives of many is already visible. Justice Baidu, Joy News, Elziejo, in the Western region.
Now let's come back to Accra, and a group calling itself Patriotic Muslims Front hit the streets today to protest what they describe as exorbitant Hajj fees. The group says the imposition comes despite a promise by the board to keep the fares at the cedi equivalent of $3,500. They're calling on President to sack the chairman of the board, Sheikh Isikwe, for alleged mismanagement. The protest started from Konka near the Accra Girls High School through the Nima Highway to the popular Obra spot at Circle. The group says the imposition of further charges by the National Hajj Board is unfair. This will be the first major travel for most pilgrims in 2 years since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. President of the group, Mohammed Haruna, explains why the board chairman must be sacked.
On the 6th of June, Sheikh Isikwe-led board held a press conference to the surprise of the Muslim Ummah, those in particular who left their monies, was slapped with another 7,000 Ghana cedis to be added or to top up before you could embark on that spiritual journey. Muslim Ummah, do you agree with that? No. And we asked a question. If you go to the bank to take loan for 2 years, would you pay interest or not? Interest or not? You have to pay interest. On condition, Muslim Ummah decided to leave these monies with the board, hoping that the leader would not disappoint them. Today, deliberately decided to add 7,000 to the amount they left with them. We are reliably informed that those monies were invested. What happened to the investment? Muslim Ummah believe that one of the cardinal principles and the defining feature of a Muslim is uprightness, righteousness, and the advancement of the cause of Islam. For which reason, Sheikh Isikwe is not fit to lead Muslim Ummah just because he has failed to live up to expectation.
Now, the first batch of pilgrims traveling to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia have been airlifted from the Tamale airport. The over 400 pilgrims who left today are part of the 1,732 who will be airlifted from the Tamale airport. Northern Region correspondent Martina Bugri has the rest of the story.
Would-be pilgrims were screened and taken to departure formalities at the newly completed Hajj village. The batch also received their COVID-19 cards before departure. Speaking to the media, a member of the Hajj board, Alhaji Farouk Hamza, said 4 flights will be moving from Tamale, whilst the remaining 3 are done in Accra.
4 flights planned for Tamale, The first flight, as you can see, has landed. It is scheduled to take off at 10:45, followed by the second one that will be around 9:45 tomorrow morning. Then tomorrow late in the night, the third flight should also be coming in to take off. And the last flight will be on Wednesday. 4 flights, then we'll move to Accra and continue.
In all, how many passengers are we having from Tamale?
We are doing 1,732 passengers. 1,732 passengers from Tamale. 4 flights and then 3 flights in Accra.
The Northern Regional Minister, Alhaji Shani Alhassan Shaibu, appealed to the pilgrims to be law-abiding when they arrive in Saudi Arabia.
To His Excellency the President and his Vice President for providing us with this Hajj village. We can all see that the Hajj village is very serene. People are seated comfortably, waiting for their time to travel. We had some few words for them. They have been the lucky ones. They have been the lucky ones to be performing this year's Hajj after a break in 2 years. And that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia was governed by laws, probably not laws of Ghana. And there was a need for them to abide by the laws of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. There is a good name that Ghana has carved for itself already in the kingdom. And we think that when they go, it should be a continuation of what we have already carved for ourselves, the name that we have carved for ourselves.
Martina Bugi filed that reports. This is Joy News Prime with me, Ernest Mino. Still to come, the former Energy Minister, Boakye Ejaku Chairmantin, says he is unperturbed about his dismissal as minister, as he says he's not abandoned his presidential ambition to take up any ministerial position in the Akufo-Addo government.
What is the impugning of integrity? President said, I gave you the job, I want you to give my job back to me. End of story.
Was it as simple as that?
Yes. Has anybody accused me of stealing money? He who alleges must prove.
We have an exclusive interview for you after this break. Don't go away. Thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. The former Energy Minister, Boakye Ejaku, has disclosed in a Joy News exclusive interview that he will be running for president. The governing New Patriotic Party will soon commence the search for a successor to President Akufo-Addo, whose task will be to lead the party as its flag bearer in the 2024 elections. Now, even before that search begins, Boakye Ejaku says he will be the best bet for the NPP in the next election. On the government appointee, also the former government appointee, also dismissed claims that he is not in good terms with President Akufo-Addo. Listen.
Are you first of all in the race, standing and making that firm decision that, well, I want to lead my political party?
Absolutely.
Going into the future?
Absolutely.
You're running for president?
Yes.
Why?
Zeal for service of my country and party. Zeal for service of my country and party.
How determined are you to achieve that target?
Absolutely. This is not a matter you trifle with, right? It must attract your full commitment, right? Drink deep or touch not. So I'm not going to trifle and play around and then say, well, no. I'm committed to it, and I will do the best I can as God makes me able to achieve it.
And what you are in for will definitely open you up for some assessment in terms of what it is that you've done in the past in your service, public service and other opportunities that you've served in or capacities that you've served in the past. One of them that comes to light obviously would be Minister for Energy. You still insist that your integrity is intact regardless of the circumstances surrounding your resignation.
What is the impugning of integrity? President said, I gave you the job, I want you to give my job back to me. End of story.
Was it as simple as that?
Yes. Has anybody accused me of stealing money? Have you heard anything like that? He who alleges must prove. If you are inquisitive enough and want to find out, you ask the president. Why did you sack him? He may have other reasons, right, that I may or may not know. So you ask the authoritative decision maker as to why he took a certain decision.
You have your own judgment about that situation.
My judgment is unimportant. Whether I agree or not, that is his. That decision is his to make, unfettered.
I guess you may not be necessarily bothered about what's happening in terms of your decision to resign, but many argue that it will definitely come up. You have to work with the same class of people or group of people if indeed you want to succeed as the presidential candidate. Even if you get to win, these are the same elements that you'll be dealing with. For instance, it's been alleged that you're not in good terms with the president.
Who alleges?
When was the last time you spoke to the president?
Do you have to speak to somebody, or the fact that you're not speaking to somebody means you're on bad terms with the president?
But this is supposed to be your good friend, someone you've worked with on a project to win political power. Wachejaku, when was the last time you spoke to the president? Something is not right.
No, that doesn't mean anything. You see, to impugn hatred or something amiss because somebody hasn't spoken to somebody, I think it's ridiculous. Right? My best friend in the world is called Godwin Boateng. He lives in the US. We haven't spoken for 2 years. But deep down in our hearts, we know what bonds us. I haven't spoken to Gordon in 2 years. And if we should meet today, it will be like we've never missed a step. So that is trifle.
Right? But working relationship is key, you agree? These are your former colleagues, these are persons you served with in government. At least you should maintain some cordial relations with them.
I do have cordial relations with a lot of people in the party.
Including the president?
What is cordial relation? When we meet, we are very decent and civil with each other. Right? Like most of my colleagues. Naturally, I'm a hermit. Right? So if I haven't spoken to somebody, you cannot impugn discord or hatred. I think you'll be driving the ball too far.
Johnny's Prime with me, Anas Benu, and Wachejaku has been talking more about his ambitions to be president in the country. In the next bite, he tells my colleague Blazer Suga what presidency with him would look like and indeed what he'll be running with. Here are the details.
What will be your number one priority?
Employment. Employment. The cost of unemployment to this nation is huge, both in monetary terms and in the psychological terms. The kinds of frustrations that I see young people go through is heartbreaking. The kinds of indignities that young people particularly, and the unemployed in general, have to bear is a huge cost. Resources that are unemployed are not contributing to your GDP. Rather, they are a drain on the GDP. So the bigger your unemployment, right, the more difficult your growth pattern. I'm just reading a fantastic article written by two economists, the determinants of growth in the Ghanaian economy. And they hit the nail right on the head. It's employment, not just human employment, employment of resources. If you cannot use your resources in an optimum way, or your resources are employed in a suboptimal way, it's a cost to you. So for me, my number one consideration is employment of our people and our resources. That is where we have to get it right.
And then on corruption, it's been a challenge confronting the nation as well, many calling for drastic measures to deal with it. What will be your approach?
Corruption is a huge problem, human nature. So when I sat at the Bank of New York and I looked at the numbers, I was probably, my P&L was probably a little over $1 trillion on a daily basis. My write-offs or set-asides, I with X-signature could set aside or write off probably $150,000 on a daily basis. These were all temptations, right? Wow. So have you seen this TikTok, the black hole?
I'm not too sure.
Where a guy discovers a piece of paper and he puts it down and he can reach into things that are locked. So wow, so he sees the safe and puts it on the safe and he's able to reach into the safe and start taking, he took all the money, then he entered the safe himself. And then the paper fell off. So he couldn't count. Right. The temptations are there. But I also knew that the bank had systems whereby by 4:15, right, any malfeasance will be caught. The fear of being caught in itself is the restraint. So we have to put in systems that can tell you what is going on almost in real time. And when you are caught, the punishment must be obvious, right? Measurable punishment so that it serves as instructions to the men.
I'm sure that definitely, as time goes on, we'll try and explore some more of the ideas and plans that you have to execute, if indeed you're giving the opportunity. Eventually, it is the party, your delegates, that would have to give you that opportunity.
Definitely.
What's your message to the delegates? At least they're at one stage now. Finally, what's your message to them, expecting that that opportunity will be there where you'd be presenting yourself to them?
I always tell the generality of the party this. My party, right or wrong, I stand by you. We have to stand by this party and make sure that we have a leadership that is inclusive, a leadership that rewards service, and a leadership that will stand up and make them proud to say that I'm a member of the MPP. Because that leadership will be delivering the goods and services that our people need.
Your good friend Ken Japon is also in the race. I hope you know that.
Oh, definitely.
You wish him well?
Certainly.
And well,
I wish everybody in the race well.
Have you spoken to him ever since you decided to run?
Oh yeah, I have known Ken probably 30 years, 40 years. I haven't spoken to him probably in 5 months now, but
let's see how it goes. Good friends contesting the same elections, but
remember that even brothers can contest in an election.
And you can catch more of this interview on our social media platforms and indeed on YouTube and myjoyonline.com. This is Joy News Prime. Now, the Greater Accra Regional Security Council has served notice to all persons illegally occupying lands belonging to the Animal Research Institute to evacuate within 48 hours. For years, unscrupulous persons have sold 800 acres of these lands. The remaining 200 have also started witnessing some encroachment recently. According to the Regional Minister Henry Korte, the activities of these encroachers have compromised millions worth of vital research work. He warns the council in a three-phase approach will begin demolishing all buildings within the encroached lands.
The Animal Research Institute has been in existence since January 1957 and has been responsible for the development of cutting-edge research to aid animal production in Ghana. Located in the Adentan municipality, their lands span over 1,000 acres. Over the last 10 years, about 800 acres have been encroached. 2 weeks ago, the Regional Security Council visited the site and promised to retrieve the lands.
It is sad that people have the effrontery to move onto government property and build anyhow. A typical example is this one. It's supposed to be a clinic, veterinary clinic, and as you can see, people are fencing, raising a fence wall around it. I wonder where we are getting to. So we have come to look at it. RegSec will go back and meet and will take a decision, but in no time we'll inform you. But I foresee a situation that by the grace of God, and I say again, by the grace of God, we'll go through the process and all this will come down.
In pursuant to that promise, the chair of the Regional Security Council, Henry Korte, has issued a 48-hour ultimatum to house owners in the area and land guards to evacuate immediately or they will be forcefully removed.
Armed land guards, we are told, walk in and out of the institute with impunity, some riding motorbikes and compromising the biosecurity of the farm animals. We wish to place on record that none of the buildings have any building permits. Consequently, RegSec is collaborating with the Adentan Municipal Assembly and the CSIR to remove all unauthorized structures mushrooming within the fenced land without further delay. RegSec is hereby giving a 48 hours notice from now, effective now as we speak, to all those who are putting up such unauthorized structures within the fence wall to pack their tools and materials from the land without fail. Any persons found loitering within the 200-acre perimeter after the deadline will be dealt with in accordance with the laws of the land. RegSec with the Adentan Municipal Assembly and the Animal Research Institute proceed to remove every structure on the land subsequently.
Meanwhile, Henry Korte says investigations have begun to help unravel the identities of persons involved in the illegal sale of these lands.
Yes, we have heard rumors that some people, it's been alleged, working within the CSIR may be part of the whole scene. We will get the security intelligence agencies to begin investigations into that, and then once they get results, they will bring report to us and we'll forward it to the appropriate quarters for the necessary actions to be taken.
But MD of the Institute, Dr. Ebenezer Ansa, says previous attempts to ward off the encroachers ended in violence.
Your head of security, on so many occasions. Other staff, on so many occasions, our staff had to do a sit-down strike. They lay down their tools, they say they can't work. The
Security Council says it will fight to restore the lands to the Research Institute. For Joy News, Michael Ashale.
My name is Ernest Mini. We're taking a break. On Worry 10, we have the latest in showbiz for you. Please stay. it's now time for the latest in showbiz, and Becky's here. She has everything that you missed over the weekend and more. Hello, Becky.
Hello to you, Ernest. How are you?
I like your braids.
Thank you.
Looking very good.
I look cute. Oh,
Okay.
look at
David
me.
wants to pay for it.
Oh.
Yeah, director.
It's 2,000 CDs.
2,000.
I know he's not going to pay, so let's just continue. Let's talk about Miss V. Miss V is celebrating 10 years in the music industry.
Oh, already?
Already, yeah.
Wow.
And
Natural Girl.
Natural Girl is set to release an album. She calls it 1030 album. And she says that this project is timeless and it's something that she...
Okay, I want to guess 10 because she's 10 years and 30 because she turned 30.
30,
recent.
yeah, that's it.
Put your hands together for me.
You're doing so well.
doing
So there was an album listening, an exclusive album listening, and she spoke to my colleague Ibrahim Ben Bako.
10:30, 10 years in the music industry and 10 in 30 years, yes.
Would you say this is going to be a defining album, or you've already had a defining album?
I've had defining albums, but I think this is going to really, really be up there or even make like a better mark than the rest.
Why?
The feel is different. If you listen to the comments, if you listen to the album, you'll just know. Yeah.
What is the direction for this album?
GH and beyond. We're not staying here. We're going to Africa and the rest of the world. Yeah.
But how long is this album going to last before you start working on others?
I have no idea. Let's see. If we squeeze all the juice from it, then we release another album. But this album is a timeless album. I think that I'm growing in my sound and I'm finding my sound. So anytime someone hears this, they say I am changing when it comes to my sound, and I'm really excited about that. Yeah. 25th is my concert, 24th is the release of the album, 23rd is my birthday.
So as you heard that, 24th of this, I think it's just this Friday or something.
Yeah, this weekend. Yeah.
She'll be releasing the album, and I am definitely looking forward to it. I know that you are.
Yeah, I would love to listen to it. I mean, Miss V is phenomenal any day, anytime, and so
beautiful lady. I hate the fact that she cut her hair.
But she's still looking beautiful.
Cute, yeah.
Miss V is pretty. Yeah.
And somebody that you also would love to hear from is Joe Metal. And
oh yeah, Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe. By the way, we are not really happy with you.
Yeah, you know that he was actually on Showbiz A to Z on
the weekend.
On the weekend, he didn't show up here, and he was there. But I mean, it's all good. We appreciate that you were on Showbiz.
Nah, but we must put on record, the Prime team is not happy. Uncle Joe, you have to show up.
So he's been talking about lack of event centers here in the country, and he's calling on, anyone who is interested or invested to support this particular sector.
In terms of venues, we do need venues. We actually really do need venues. Venues that can take, like, you see, every time we talk about production and updating the quality of production and all that, but some of the venues don't have the capacity to take maybe the kind of productions that we would want to have. Most of the rigs are not there. You have to set them up with the trusses and all. Like, a time should come where all those things should go. Where the auditoriums are self-sufficient, like where it can take every production that you need to do, and so it will help so that people can. What was it? I think the first time I experienced that thing was in SA.
Yep.
We went to do some concert in South Africa, and I realized that the stage it moves down and up.
Exactly.
So they were like, we had to stand on it. I was like, that was the first time I experienced that thing before other places. And I feel like, but the drum is built in that way. So no matter what you want to do, they've done it that way for you to be able to use it. And so
it's convenient.
Yes. So I'm trusting God that in the future we should be able to have things like that so that it will help.
Yeah.
So Joe Metal there. I'm finding it difficult to, keep the next story, the name. Kendrick Lamar.
Just give it a
Kendrick Lamar was in Ghana right before he released his album, and he left. We'll bring you that video shortly. But another person who is Ghanaian, his father is actually Ghanaian. He is a Dutch footballer and forward for Barcelona FC, Memphis Depay. he has paid a visit to his roots. He arrived in Ghana earlier this week to enjoy his summer holidays after the end of European football season and to continue his philanthropic works. Memphis, who is born to Ghanaian father Dennis and Dutch mother Cora, has been undertaking a series of projects in recent years where he donated sporting equipment and other items to the Cape Coast School for the Deaf and Blind. So that's, you know, what he's been doing here in Ghana.
So beyond the return, right? That's all part of it. But Becky, thank you very much for bringing us the latest in showbiz. That's our show for tonight. Many thanks for your company. You can find more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I'm Ernest Mino. Up next is Prime Business with Beverly Broom.
Hello and welcome. Let's do business now with me, Beverly Broom. More oil marketing firms are expected to shut down their operations in the weeks ahead over what they describe as industry challenges. Some operators took a hit last year due to the rise in cost of operations and regulatory requirements. George Rafe has more in the following report.
The woes of the oil marketing firms have been compounded by the new payment terms put forward by importers of finished petroleum products. There's a departure from the old practice where products are sold on credit. Their situation has been compounded by the intense competition when it comes to pricing of products. And now some of the firms are losing out because they cannot sell more volumes to break even. Some already entered into major talks, with others looking at being taken over by another firm. The Revenue Authority has also revised the way it collects taxes from the sector to an advanced payment, a move that is hurting most of the firms operating in the sector. For some of the industry watchers, it was just a matter of time following the full takeoff of the price deregulation policy, as some of the companies that hid behind government subsidies are now being exposed. There is currently more than 100 oil marketing companies in the country. Joy Business is learning that even with some of the big players in the industry, they are currently struggling. Based on the recent adjustment in prices of petroleum products by the oil marketing companies, it is clear that most of them have still absorbed a fraction of the cost in order to stay in business to ensure that they don't lose out on the market when it comes to marketing or selling of their products.
Meanwhile, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, COPEC Ghana, is calling for measures and regulatory interventions to save the oil marketing firms on the verge of collapse.
The fact that everything else has gone up, including their own cost of operations, then it is anticipated that these oil marketing companies and the BDCs would be reeling under a lot of pressures within this period. And so, whilst the BOG is trying what it can to make dollars available to the BDCs, financing also for the oil marketing companies should be a thing that we put on the front burner immediately, because clearly a lot of them, if you speak to them, are also reeling under a lot of pressures compounded from financing costs variability as a result of increases in these prices. We would recommend that some of them do not wait to go down under completely. You could have a situation where you would have acquisition acquisitions come in, you could have mergers come in, you could have 2-3 of them come together, pool resources so that economies of scale could also be something that would work for them. For a country this small, having over 150 oil marketing companies, LPG, MCs, and all of that is quite a huge number. We think that for the local companies, if some of them could come together or pitch resources together, they could still be viable, they could still be able to sustain their operations in the face of these steep economic challenges that confronts them.
Away from that, Ghana's government has stated it will develop trade and strengthen economic ties with the United States. According to Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, this is a top priority to boost the Ghanaian economy. Speaking at the American Chamber of Commerce, Ghana's US-Ghana Business Forum, he indicated that strengthening diplomatic and business ties between the two countries will aid Ghana's efforts to execute the African Continental Free Trade Area successfully.
Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta described the African Continental Free Trade Agreement as the start of the continent's economic liberation. He urged African countries to improve their security and join with other countries in the industrialization effort.
But security is expensive, and it must be shared. It is a green space, and we all must protect it. Accordingly, the President has positioned Ghana as an advocate of democratic rule in Africa and the continent at large, and has set the pace for continual peaceful elections that we have had. We are also known for our penchant for the rule of law, of adequate provisions, even in this constitution, for protection of expropriation. Since the President's election, we have had a clear direction of the economy, from export of raw materials and resources to value addiction and productivity, and once again set a pace for an industrialization drive in Africa. Under our Ghana Beyond Aid mantra, Ghana is ready for partnership, for linkages and trade. And Ghana Beyond Aid really, in a sense, means a wiser society, a society that is wealthy, a society that works by inclusion, a society that does things that are sustainable, and an empowered people, and a resilient economy.
Communications Minister Esla Ekufu entreated the Secretariat to launch a member state-approved firm certificate process to aid in the fight against fraudulent activities.
What about logistical challenges? How do we know that the companies that we're trading with are not fraudulent companies set up merely to defraud people on the e-commerce platforms that are opening up? So we need to put in place a similar company certification process, continentally acceptable, through a mechanism that it will be verifiable by anyone going online to check on the credentials of this company. And I believe that we're also working on that with the Secretariat to enable that to happen. Okay. We have worked through AGOA, ECOWAS, AU initiatives, and all of that haven't quite delivered the systems that we anticipate.
She further called for more support for small and medium enterprises.
That's all for Business Now. We leave you with business news making headlines on the international front. I am Beverly Broom. Have a good evening.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Prime Sports Live here on the Joy News channel with me, Oreku Ampafo. We'll be starting off with former Ghana President John Ejekum Kufuor, who was once the chairman of Asante Kotoko. Now, he's urged the club to adopt scientific and data-based approaches to playing football as they fight back to claw back lost glory on the African continent. The Porcupine Warriors, who emerged champions of the just-ended Ghana Premier League season, have not won any silverware in CAF's inter-club competitions in a long time. Now, former president wants the club to use modern ways of playing the game in order to improve.
Smart playing these days has become a science. It's not just enthusiasm. The management must be scientific and also must master the technology of the game. This is why the whole world now is soccer, football, that is holding peoples, I would say peoples, together all over for peace, for fellow feeling, for diversion from enmity and unnecessary warfare. So when you've got a team like Kotoko performing like it's performing, and you must uphold it, you must support it. And I was privileged to be chairman for a while, former times, but I tell you, the spirit runs in my blood. I'm always a Kotoko supporter. I congratulate you immensely.
Speaking of the just-ended Ghana Premier League season, let's run by you some of the key statistics. And so in total, there were 306 games in the 2021-2022 Ghana Premier League season, and we have more than double for goals, with 624 goals being scored, therefore averaging 2.04 goals per game. Most goals scored were Asante Kotoko 48. Most home points, quite surprising, was Bibiani Gold Stars, who were promoted to the Ghana Premier League for the first time, racking up 40 points at the Dance Park. Most away points were the champions, Asante Kotoko, picking up 31 points on the road for a second consecutive season, actually. And the most goals conceded, Elmina Sharks, who finished bottom of the Ghana Premier League. Yawano ended with the Golden Boot after scoring 2 goals on the final day to surpass Frank Mbella of Asante Kotoko. Let's still stay with the Ghana Premier League because Kotoku Royals would be promoted next season, and they finally received their trophy after emerging champions of Zone 3 of the National Division 1 League. Joy Sports Asare Bediako was at the Oda Sports Stadium for their coronation game against Susubribi at the Chim Oda Sports Stadium on Sunday.
Kotoku Royals has become the first Achimota football club to secure promotion to the Ghana Premier League. The club, which was formed in 2003, is the pride of the people of the Kotoku traditional area in the eastern region of Ghana. It was no surprise the famous Oda Sports Stadium was the center of attraction during the coronation game against Susubribi. They finished first in Zone 3 of the National Division 1 League on a dramatic final day. Players of the club were elated after lifting the trophy. Linford Asamoah-Boadu is president of Kotoku Royals.
Everybody is happy. This is what we want. The beautiful game has come to Akemodan, and Akemodan will write their name in the front page of all sports media, all sports papers, everywhere when you mention soccer or football. And that is what we want. This victory, you don't know how it means to us. It's going to bring unity, it's going to bring togetherness, it's going to bring development, it's going to bring development. So it's a total victory for everybody. We have a strategic business plan that we draw up 2 years ago. And we know this year we have to come to Premier League. So we have the 5-year development plan. The next 3 years development plan is still pending. And we are going to embark on the plan and make it work to ensure that we sustain ourselves in the league. My man here will be supporting us right from day one. The MP from Adan is supporting us right from day one. But after the 3 games, you can see all the businessmen in Achim Kotoku all the opinion leaders. I mean, people are donating and donating and donating. And you can't believe it, that people out of their own hearts are giving money to the club, to the prayers, and that is what we call togetherness.
Some fans also spoke to Joy Sports.
Yes, we can set a record by Adriana. Adriana came into the Ghana Premier League from Division 1 and it was straight and very joyful. So as Kotoku, as Raj Boys, Kotoku Royals, Achimodan here, we can also follow in the Ghana Premier League and we can have it and won it again. And this must be the remarkable day of Kotoku.
Looking at the support we have here, people are willing, people are ready to help out to sustain in the Ghana Premier League. We are not coming to Ghana Premier to come and joke. We mean business, and we will definitely see Kotoku this season performing very well in the Ghana Premier League.
So what message do you have for teams that play here? Is it going to be a Waterloo for them?
Yes, it's going to be a Waterloo in our Division 1 this season. 15 matches, we won 14, we draw 1, and we demonstrate to all the Division 1 clubs in Zone 3 that this is no-go area, and this is another warning and signal to each and every one that Odan Sports Stadium is no-go area for any team that will visit Odan Sports Stadium.
Interesting scenes there. Kotoku Royals would be in the Ghana Premier League next season. Can't wait to see what they have to offer to Ghana's top flight division. But let's do some more here, where Black Stars captain Andrew Ayew has called for the return of juvenile football, popularly known as Colts. Now, juvenile football was vital in producing some of the best talents to have come from the country. Ayew, who was awarded the Order of the Star, the Calcio Trade Ball on Saturday, during his acceptance speech, pleaded for the return. That's the notes on which we'll be wrapping up Prime Sports here on the Joy News channel. You can follow some more stories on my Joy Online/sports, or you can also follow us on social media at Joy Sports GH. You would see a lot on Benjamin Azamati, who over the weekend won his first Diamond League event in the 100-meter at the Paris Diamond League. My name is Ori Kwambo. We'll be back again same time tomorrow at 8:30 actually, where we have an extended version of Prime Sports.